Hello, welcome to Levant TV headlines. Kurdish militia have fought off a fresh assault by the Islamic State group on a key Syrian town after one desperate woman defender carried out a suicide attack against the jihadists. Turkish security forces have used tear gas to push dozens of reporters and Kurdish civilians away from the border zone close to intense fighting for the besieged Syrian town of Kobani. And clashes took place in eastern Lebanon yesterday as a group of militants attacked a Hezbollah checkpoint with at least 5 Hezbollah members killed. The UAE said the US Vice President Joe Biden has apologized to the Abu Dhabi Crown Prince for, quote, any implications in a speech he made last week that the UAE had supported Islamist militants in Syria. And Iran has released journalist Yegani Salehi, who was arrested almost 3 months ago alongside her husband, the Washington Post Tehran correspondent Jason Rezaian. And now let's have a look at top headlines in today's newspapers in the Middle East. Starting with the Egypt Independent, which leads reporting that as thousands of Egyptians celebrated the first day of Eid al-Adha, the phenomenon of sexual harassment disappeared from the Qasr Nil Bridge and the Corniche for the first time in many years. The paper also reports that an Egyptian diplomat has managed to acquire command of the Indonesian language within 10 days, delivering a speech at the Foreign Ministry. And from Beirut, the Daily Star reports that fierce fighting between Hezbollah and the Al-Nusra Front along Lebanon's eastern border subsided, leaving 8 fighters from the Lebanese party and more than a dozen of the jihadists dead. The paper also reports that 2 million Muslim pilgrims begin leaving the holy city of Mecca today, concluding the annual Hajj, during which Saudi leaders lashed out at Islamic extremism. And from the UAE, the Khalij Times reports that King Abdullah bin Abdulaziz of Saudi Arabia says religious extremism is a perversion which must be eradicated, with his air force engaged in a US-led campaign against ISIS militants in Syria. The paper also reports that Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed Al Nahyan has sent a cable of greetings to Egyptian President Abdel Fattah Sisi on the occasion of the anniversary of the October 6th war victory, expressing his best wishes to the Arab Republic on the historic occasion. And now let's have a look at top MidEast headlines from papers here in the UK. The Telegraph leads Middle East news reporting that Vice President Joe Biden has called the Crown Prince of the United Arab Emirates to clarify that he did not mean to imply in his remarks last week that the Gulf ally was supporting Al-Qaeda fighters in Syria. The paper says it was the second time in 2 days that Biden had to call a key partner in President Barack Obama's coalition to walk back comments he made when he said the US allies, including Turkey, Saudi Arabia and the UAE, had funded and armed extremist groups. The Independent leads Middle East news reporting that Alan Henning, the British aid worker from Manchester murdered by ISIS, was convinced that he would be freed from his captors, a fellow prisoner has revealed. The paper adds that Saif al-Idlibi, an opposition activist who was held with Mr. Henning when he was first captured by ISIS, said Mr. Henning laughed and joked with the other prisoners and was not afraid. Also from the UK, The Guardian reports that Australia has launched its first armed combat mission against the Islamic State in Iraq, but did not strike any targets. The paper says 2 RAF Super Hornets were on call to attack targets, but the aircraft did not use their munitions. And now let's have a look at top MidEast headlines in international papers. From Germany, the Deutsche Welle reports that Britain's Foreign Office says a British teacher held hostage in Libya for 5 months has been freed. The paper says that British authorities declined to provide details of the release of British teacher David Bolam, saying only that he had been reunited safe and well with his family, which wanted to protect his privacy. And finally, from China, the Global Times reports that about 500 Palestinians from Gaza who are over than 60 years old visited Jerusalem yesterday to pray at the Al-Aqsa Mosque in the Old City for the first time in 7 years. The paper adds that Hussein al-Sheikh, chief of the Palestinian Liaison Office with Israel, had earlier said that Israel started a series of steps to ease a blockade which had been imposed on the Gaza Strip for 8 years. And for more updates, visit our website levant.tv. Thanks for watching. Be sure to join us again tomorrow, and bye for now.